Let's talk about being a parent. Becoming a parent is a right. No requirements, no training. Now think about it. Before you drive a car, you at least have to take a test to show some proficiency, but there are no tests for becoming a mother or a father. Sometimes parenting skills are called into question, and oftentimes it's by somebody close, like another family member. In fact, 6 million children are being raised by a relative because those relatives claim the child's own parent isn't fit. They're not responsible, they're not financially stable, they're just not ready to be in control of that child. So how do you determine if someone is a fit parent? I mean, that's a hard thing. Now, I want to ask some of you guys what you think. You two stand up. Do you think that somebody that needs financial help, can't pay the bills, can't keep a roof over the head, has the right to be a parent?
Yeah, I do. And the reason why I say that is because I ended up landing in that same situation myself, and I had to move back in with my parents for 5 years.
Okay, but that doesn't reflect on your ability as a parent. That's just an economic hard time.
It did not reflect on it.
You disagree?
I do disagree. If you can't financially take care of your own child, and the parents have to do it, grandma has to do it, eventually they get tired of doing it, and then bottom line, taxpayers end up having to do it.
All right, what do you two think if a court rules that a parent is unfit? Should they ever have a chance to rehabilitate themselves and get the kid back?
Yeah, I do. I totally believe that. They should be able to get the child back.
All right. Now, Penny, stand up. You disagree with that. You think if a court takes the kid away, that's it. It's done. You get one shot, you lose them, you lose them.
Right. And my reasoning is that you had a responsibility to that child to raise them. For some reason, the courts took them away from you for being an unfit parent. I don't feel that you should get them back.
All right. These are the questions that have come up in the story that we're going to talk about today. So I want you to take a look at this little boy. Now, he is a typical all-American kid, adorable, curious, full of life. He loves to play, he loves to have fun. What you don't see is that he lives 3,000 miles away from his mother, Nicole, and is being raised by Barbara, his grandmother. Now, Grandma says she needed to take full custody of Ethan because her daughter, Nicole, was simply not capable, just wasn't fit to be his mother. Now, before we unravel this story, there's obviously a long history between these two women. This is not all about the child. It's safe to say they don't even almost see eye to eye.
My mom is very controlling, manipulative, insane, like someone with schizophrenia, and overbearing. My mom has a need to control everything.
My daughter is a pathological liar, deceiving, conning, unstable, an unfit mother. Nicole needs mental help and will do whatever it takes to get what she wants.
Okay, so what went wrong? How did they get here? Now, Barbara says it started when Nicole planned to get pregnant when she was only 19. She didn't tell her mom, she just was trying to have a baby. Now, Grandma says, look, this kid just wasn't ready to be a mother.
Since Ethan was born, I have fulfilled every basic need that a mother would provide normally for their child. I brought over food, I brought over diapers, I brought over clothes, I brought everything the child needed. I took care of him physically and emotionally.
I definitely did need some help. It was a little bit overwhelming, but that doesn't mean that she can turn around later and throw it in my face. In the end, she used it against me.
Nicole has issues with processing action with consequence. And unfortunately, the consequence involved a human being.
Nicole didn't have health insurance and Ethan needed surgery. So Nicole signed what she says she thought was joint custody so her parents could cover Ethan on their insurance policy. But Nicole says that she was tricked. It wasn't joint custody at all, that what she actually signed was something that signed away her rights as a parent.
Initially, the way that the consent order was explained to me, this is a joint temporary custody agreement. I showed the document to the attorney. He said, this document is damaging, it has no date on it, therefore it's not temporary. She deliberately tricked me. I feel as though it was my mom's plan to have full custody.
I did not trick Nicole. She knew exactly what she was signing. She had the papers to read at least a couple of weeks before she signed them.
I didn't read through the document when I signed it because I just trusted that what my parents were saying was true. I definitely feel like my mom stole my son away from me.
So Nicole says, look, I trusted my parents. I figured what they told me was in the papers were in the papers, but in fact, they tricked me. She says they just tricked her, and she says, I want my son back. Barbara says Nicole went too far and in fact broke the law.
Nicole committed fraud to get her son back. Nicole took a signature page from a document we had previously signed, attached it to the fraudulent document, then submitted that to the courts as a document that we signed.
This claim that this document is fraudulent is completely ridiculous because we went to mediation. My parents did agree to relinquish custody to me, and that order was signed by them, entered, and signed by the judge.
Well, they're all fighting each other.
Nicole kept changing the agreement. The mediation agreement we started out with was far from the agreement that got filed in the courthouse. Almost the very next day after the document was filed, Nicole fled with Ethan.
My parents were aware that we were planning on moving back to Oregon.
Nicole left for Oregon. It was never discussed. She left like a thief in the night with my grandson.
Well, she may have left, but Barbara followed her daughter across the country. She says she found out Ethan had missed almost a month of school, couldn't count to 20, and was living in what she said were deplorable conditions. So she filed a motion and got custody of Ethan back. Now, Nicole and Barbara have not seen each other in almost 4 months. So let's bring them out and find out what's going on with this child. Barbara, how are you? Good to meet you. Good to see you. Nicole, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay, I've got a million questions about this whole thing, and I'm doing this because I want what's in the best interest of that child. Do you really want this child back?
Yes.
Because I wonder sometimes if we get into a tug of war and a child becomes a rope that you're both tugging on, because you two don't see eye to eye. You don't get along, correct?
This time we do not.
Well, here's what you told us. You said Nicole is a pathological liar. She needs mental help. She is an unstable mom. She constantly needs my help. She never thanks me or appreciates anything. True?
That is all true.
You say that your mother is, quote, controlling, manipulative, insane, and overbearing.
True.
Okay, so is this child a battleground or for your other problems, or are we really trying to figure out what's in the best interest of this child?
No, I'm trying to figure out what's in the best interest of the child.
Do you agree that you've had trouble raising Ethan in the times that you've had him?
I wouldn't say that I've had trouble raising him. I would say that I've definitely had some time where I needed some additional help.
I hired a private investigator. I found that Nicole had been very negligent. Ethan was in an unstable situation. Her duplex smelled of urine. Ethan was not attending school on a regular basis. I found Ethan unable to even recite the full alphabet, unable to count to 20. Ethan had the language skills of a 4-year-old. He's 6. I felt like I had enough evidence to show the courts that he is in harm's way.
This blows my mind that this is even happening to me. I've done nothing to harm my child.
I have a great interest in children because they don't always have a voice. They can't protect themselves. They don't have the power to stand up and say, people do right by me. Well, today we're talking about just that kind of situation, a grandmother versus a mother, and it has become a battle. There's no question about it. Barbara says she is not willing to give custody back of her 6-year-old grandson to her daughter, Nicole. Do you really believe that you've done nothing to the detriment of Ethan?
Yes, I feel I've done nothing to the detriment of Ethan.
I'll tell you, I come into this situation with a presumption that children should be with their biological parents if they can. I think that's the natural order of things. I think to take a child away from a biological parent is a huge thing. So that's my presumption, unless and until somebody shows me that that biological parent's not doing their job. Were you doing your job?
I was doing my job.
Well, now the court said you weren't doing your job. The court found that you weren't doing your job. It wasn't just your mother bad-mouthing you. It was an independent, objective finder of fact that said you weren't doing your job.
That's because I never went to court.
You say that you're a responsible parent, but yet you didn't read the papers that were given you that had to do with the custody of your own child. You didn't show up for court. I mean, if this is my child and people are holding hearings about my child, I'm going to be front and center up on my hind legs talking about what I want and don't want. So why were you not reading the papers? Why were you not in court?
I wasn't in court because I wasn't served to the current address that I lived at, so I wasn't aware that it was going on. She said nothing. She acted like everything's peachy, so I didn't know.
You say she wasn't served because she gave you a phony address.
She never gave us current addresses. She moved. I would ask her what her address was. She would dance around the question or evade the question, and I eventually asked the investigator to find out where Nicole lived, and she had given me what she said was an apartment number. That turned out to be the mailbox number at the apartments where she lived, and so even then it wasn't a physical address.
Okay, well, here's what the court said. The minor child is exposed to substantial risk of bodily harm as a result of the defendant's neglecting his medical condition and being removed from the state of North Carolina as a result of fraudulent conduct on the part of the defendants. Did you defraud the court?
No, I did not.
Well, I read the court ruling in detail, and they said that you perpetrated a fraud on the plaintiffs and you perpetrated a fraud on the court by taking an old signature page to a previous filing, putting it with a new filing, and giving it to the court, which said that they had agreed to return custody to you, and the court said that was fraudulent, that they did not sign that, it was substituted into a different document. Did you substitute the signature page to a different document?
No, I did not. I had no reason to do so.
She had every reason to do so, and she even admitted it to her dad when she called from the road. He asked her, why did you do this? And she said, because you never would have signed.
No. He asked, why did you not discuss with me beforehand the changes? The changes being that the visitation was different and that the 60 days notification was not in the documentation.
Okay, well, this is an unusual situation because you're saying didn't happen,
Yeah.
and the court said did, and awarded custody back to your mother.
The court said did because they won by default. I was not served. I didn't know that a court hearing was going on, or I would have been there.
Now, Leslie, a former landlord of Nicole, says Nicole was such a bad tenant that she was forced to take her to court as well.
Nicole was the type of tenant that a landlord hopes to never have. She was irresponsible.
For Leslie to call me irresponsible is pretty outrageous because she doesn't know me.
She would abandon her cat for days to weeks on end.
The cat was an outdoor cat, and it had food and water outside.
She just took off and left without any notice, without any warning. The whole place was stinking to high heaven. All the food in the freezer and the refrigerator had all rotted. There was a whole sink load full of dirty dishes. There were bags of garbage and used diapers. And there was also some urine-stained sheets. The place was a disastrous mess. My first thought after Nicole had left was I would be really concerned about Ethan if she's going to treat Ethan the way that she treated her cat, because it takes a lot to be a parent.
What do you say about this? Was the place a disaster? I mean, was it urine soaked? Did you abandon your cat? Was there rotting food? I mean, all of this is suggestive of if that's what somebody finds when they walk in your door, then that may be exactly what a child would be living in before they opened that door.
No, it was not a disaster. The cat was an outdoor cat. It had food and water outside. I did not leave for days. I lived in that house. And when I left, she did have notice. I'm not disputing everything. Yes, I did leave the place a mess. I am disputing the fact that I didn't pay my rent.
But she went to court and got a ruling against you for unpaid.
Mm-hmm.
Why would the court award that if it had already been paid?
I paid my rent every month.
Well, Leslie is here. She had a laundry list of complaints about her former tenant, Nicole. Excessive noise, moved out and left rotting food, garbage bags filled with dirty diapers, urine-soaked sheets, abandoned her cat ruined the neighbor's rug, killed her bird, didn't pay the last month's rent, didn't pay late fees. Leslie, you're saying she just didn't take care of business?
No, she did not take care of business.
Is this what, Barbara, is this what you're afraid of if Ethan is back in her custody?
This is exactly what I'm afraid of. I arrived for a visit with Ethan and Nicole to find the duplex that I had worked hard to set up for Nicole, and I got it totally set up for her, by the way, with no help from her. I don't think she was there 5 minutes the whole week. We did this for Ethan and Nicole, hoping that she could get on her feet. And when I came back 2 months later to find urine-soaked clothes all over the floor, to find hardly any food in the kitchen, to find she had basically ruined what I worked so hard to put together.
Is that what she found?
I am disputing the fact that there were urine-stained clothes all over the floor. That's ridiculous. Yes, I have food in my house. I'm not totally disputing what Leslie said. I don't think that it was right for me to leave the place a mess, but when I lived in the house, it had food, it had everything that I needed, that Ethan needed.
Today we're talking about a custody battle. We have a child, Ethan. He's just a precious 6-year-old boy. Barbara says she was just being a doting grandmother when she and her husband offered to take guardianship of their grandson. Now, Ethan's mom, Nicole, says she was tricked into signing over custody. What is your motive here? I mean, are you trying to control her, or are you trying to help her, or are you just trying to protect Ethan? I mean, where are you coming from on all of this? I've been sitting here watching the dynamic between the two of you. You seem to have no emotion for your daughter at all.
That emotion died over the years. You just get to the point where you realize, am I going to worry about my daughter's needs, or am I going to worry about Ethan's needs?
But is getting custody of Ethan just a big gotcha on your daughter, or do you really believe that he is not safe with her?
I didn't even insist on custody until Nicole failed to provide the medical attention he needed.
But did you not? I mean, this kind of reflects on your parenting.
Yeah, I
because
realize
you
that.
raised her. I mean, did you raise her to be such an irresponsible person? And if so, are you going to do the same thing with Ethan?
I raised her, I thought, with compassion, but apparently that hasn't transpired.
Well, because here's what we know. She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't drink. You know, she's not homeless. She's not, out rattling around. She's obviously takes pretty good care of herself. She doesn't appear to be how you describe her or how the court has found her to be in their rulings.
I understand that. It was very difficult for me, particularly this last round, to go back to Oregon, to prove that the proof that I'm not trying to be controlling is in the fact that she left, like I said, like a thief in the night with my grandson, called me from Kansas, or didn't even call me. I had to.
Okay, but hold on a second. She didn't leave like a thief in the night with your grandson. If she did anything, she left like a thief in the night with her son. It's her son first and your grandson second. So, but you say she did that because she defrauded the court.
Correct. She left knowing that I would wake up in the morning to find them gone. She pretended up to the last minute that she was not going anywhere with Ethan.
Is she irresponsible in the other parts of her life? Or just as a parent?
Nicole has had difficulty finding a career path. Luckily, she finally, I believe, has settled in that area.
You do have a job, right?
I do.
Okay, and what is your job?
I work in admissions for a college, so I have a good job. I've been there for a year.
But a year doesn't prove job stability. This child, she has, you know, she's going to be long-term raising this child. And prior to that, it was very, very unstable with, well, I'll try this. She tried dental assisting, and then she tried
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said I'm 25. I'm not 42 and still struggling with a career.
Okay, but
25.
But do you acknowledge that she's held this job for a year? And
I do.
I tell you, would anybody work for me for a year if they didn't do their job? I mean, at a month or two, I'd be saying, you know, you need to go somewhere else because you don't fit in.
I'm very pleased that she has become stable with her job.
Is it your goal to keep and raise Ethan into adulthood?
I want to keep Ethan as long as it is in his best interest to keep Ethan. I would love to see Ethan go back to his mother into a stable environment.
Let me ask you, if you thought it was such a dangerous and unstable situation when the court said that it was a fraudulent modification of the custody order and awarded custody back to you, why did you wait 17 days to go get him?
I didn't wait. I waited till my attorney said, okay, you have a legal right now to go.
And you turned him over when she showed up?
Yes.
Well, today we're unraveling the story, or at least trying to, of Barbara, a grandmother who has taken full custody of her 6-year-old grandson from Nicole, her own daughter. Now, Melissa has been friends with Nicole since they were in the 2nd grade. And she says Barbara always made Nicole feel like she wasn't good enough and says that she has always been controlling.
Barbara and Nicole never got along.
Nicole and I have had a rocky relationship since her teenage years.
This whole custody battle is to gain control over Nicole, her child, and her life. I believe Barbara thinks that she did poorly at raising Nicole. She wants to have a second chance at raising Ethan. Barbara has made many false accusations against Nicole. Nicole is a spectacular mother. There is no reason at all why Nicole should not have custody of Ethan.
Are you really being a friend and telling her the truth?
I am.
Or are you just trying to be supportive?
Things have not been totally fine. There have been financial problems.
If you have to have support or assistance from the government or family members or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're an unfit parent at all. What does mean you're an unfit parent is if you're not taking care of the child, if the child missed 23 days of school, if you didn't show up for 2 appointments that you had for conferences to get special services for the child when he needs them, if you are letting the child lay on urine-soaked sheets, if those things are going on, that's what I have to say about fitness as a parent.
I would like to say that I haven't been on state assistance since my son was about a year old. He's 6 now.
That's because you're on mine.
No, I didn't live with you until we moved to North Carolina.
Nicole.
You did not raise this child. You assisted me when I needed your help.
Nicole, when you left Oregon, you left an apartment in such a state. I had paid $1,500 to bail you out of that apartment, and I have the receipt. If you'd like me to dig it out, I'll find it. I was forced to check on Ethan every weekend to make sure he was okay. I would drive to Seattle every weekend. We would rent a suite nearby, and Nicole would allow Ethan to come and stay with us, and so that, again, I could bathe, feed him, dress him, make sure he had his needs.
Yes, you did come to visit for the weekends, and yes, I did allow him to spend time with you.
That was the extent of it.
And just about every month you'd call and say you needed the rent money.
That's
Nicole.
not true.
Are you capable of taking care of this child?
Yes, I have a stable job, I have a stable home, I have a car. I'm a good parent.
Okay, you haven't always been the best parent. Do you agree with that?
I believe that every parent makes mistakes. When I could not take him to the doctor because there was a lapse in health coverage, I came to her for help. Aside from that, we have always provided for his medical needs, including times where she went to the courts and said that we did not. And I have proof of that.
One of the things that I'm curious about is you don't seem very passionate about getting this child back. If someone took one of my children away, it would be my focus. It would be what defined me from sun up to sundown every day to get that child back. I just, there would be no way. There would be no expense, there would be no effort, there would be, and to say, I didn't know there were court proceedings going on, I didn't understand the court documents. I read the court documents. Come on, you are an intelligent young woman. You knew what those court documents said.
The consent order I did not read because she explained to me one way. We signed it in the kitchen.
But did you read it? It's very clear. Defendants have consented to transfer custody and guardianship of the minor child to the plaintiffs. This is your child. If you want this child back,
I'm doing whatever I physically can do.
You're getting ready to have another baby. Or do you think you're going to be able to take care of 2 children?
Yes.
She can't take care of Ethan and his needs and that baby. There's no way.
Is it time for you to step back and let this mother have her child?
It's time for Nicole to prove to me that she has, that she can be stable. And I'm anxious to see if she provides the needs of this child.
I was providing for the needs of Ethan, and you were aware of that, and she's aware of that.
Ethan calls me Mom. I'm very okay with Ethan calling me Mom. I am very happy that I have full custody and I am able to take care of Ethan.
All of this makes me really angry that I would have to fight to have my son live in my home. Ethan's best place to be is with me, his biological mom, not with his grandparents.
You acknowledge that by your yardstick, you measure her as having made progress.
She has made progress, and I am proud of her for that. But for me to consider sending him back to his mother after just a few months of being with me would be a detriment to the progress we've made. I have witnessed 4-year-olds who knew more than Ethan did. And that's not because he's not a smart kid. It's because he didn't get to go to school.
Okay, well, here's what's going to happen. This is the way this is going to work out. You're either going to agree voluntarily to start making the movements to get this child back with his mother, or you're not. Right. And I'm happy to try and facilitate that. We would be happy to provide an independent social worker to do a home study and evaluate the entire situation and make a recommendation to you and to the court if it came to that. And this is somebody that doesn't have a dog in the fight. They don't care what you think, they don't care what you think. I'm happy to offer that to both of you to evaluate the situation.
I wouldn't object to a home study.
And if that home study found that this child would have a stable environment and could flourish educationally, physically, mentally, emotionally, then you would consider returning this child to his mother.
One of my concerns is uprooting him out of a stable environment after he got shuffled around all last year. He's finally got friends. He's settled in his school.
So you're saying you think the child's better with you. You don't care what the home study says.
Right now, at this point, I have to say that.
Okay, so you're back in court.
This is just ridiculous. Yes, he did miss. I don't know where you're getting the 23 days of school. I don't know where that comes from.
School records.
Okay, well, I never
is
saw
where
that. I
get
never even
that.
received a phone call from the school with any concerning questions. The only time that I'm aware of that he was out of school was when he went to Seattle to seek medical care, which you say that he didn't receive.
Nicole, he
And
went
I
to
have
Seattle
documentation
right
to
when I
prove-
came to pick him up so that I could not retrieve him from you.
What you're saying is you got him and you're going to keep him because you don't think it's in his best interest to move.
Correct.
Here's the reality. What she's telling you is, I don't care if you are fit to take care of this child. I've got him and I'm going to keep him. That's the bottom line, right?
If this is really about Ethan's welfare, I don't know why anyone would see that uprooting him right now after just a few months of stability and sending him back to his mother because she claims to be stable makes sense.
I'm not saying that you uproot him right now and send him back because she claims it. I'm saying we get skilled professionals in here to evaluate the situation. If she is prepared and able to take care of this child, it seems to me that that's where the child should be. But you're saying, I don't care. I've got the child and I'm going to keep him.
I'm saying he needs to stay put for a reasonable amount of time. I mean, we can agree on a time if you're ready.
So he can become further detached from me?
He's not detached from you. He's not.
He's not near me. How is him being away from me for a long period of time and then eventually that just doesn't make any sense.
You had every opportunity to stay with us. I didn't kick you out.
I don't
you didn't
need to
have
be with you. I'm 25
Oregon.
years old. I need to live on my own, take care of myself.
Well, we're back with Barbara and Nicole. Ethan, her son, who she hasn't seen in 4 months, is backstage, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. This is my final question. If we got a good social worker that you liked and trusted that came in and evaluated the situation and said, we've tested her psychologically, we've done everything to assess the school and the situation, and we think this child can flourish with his biological mother. If that was the report you got back, would you say, well, then let's start making an orderly transition to get that done? Or would you say, I don't know? Are you willing to go down that road?
I'm willing to go down that road.
Are you willing to go down that road? To make that resource available to you, are you willing to go down that road?
Yes.
Because even if she at that point says, I'm going to keep the child, then you at least have that home study to use in court. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win for you, and it could give you some peace of mind if this child is ever going to transition back to the mother. And, maybe there could be a joint custody arrangement. There could be all kinds of ways to transition into this situation where you didn't give up control. I'm just trying to negotiate something here. Are you open to that?
I'm open to that.
Okay.
I would like if we could come to an agreement, stop arguing. It's not healthy for myself, for you, or for Ethan.
I totally agree. All right. Let's go back and see your son. I'll show you where we are. Thank you. To watch your step here. You are pregnant, pregnant lady coming through.
Hi.
Mommy. Ooh. Mommy.
How does it feel to see them together?
Feels great. I've never wanted to keep Ethan from Nicole. That wasn't ever my intention.
Does this look right to you?
Of course it does. It would to anybody. I'm not denying that.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.